Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
In today's class, I will discuss about listening skills. So, does anyone knows what listening skills are?
I know. Listening skill are the ability to understand meaning.
Anyone else?
Me. Listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret message in the communication process.
Yes, that's right, Aaron. Listening is the ability to understand meaning. It also the ability to accurately receive and interpret message in the communication process. Listening involves identifying of sounds of speech and processing them into words and sentence. When we listen, we use our ears to receive individual sounds, letters, stress, rhythm, and pauses. And we use our brain to convert this into messages that mean something to us. Now, let me explain the various type of listening. What is the importance of listening and key principles of listening? First, the various types of listening is active listening, appreciative listening, casual listening, comprehension listening, critical listening, dialogue listening, discriminative listening, empathic listening, relationship listening, sympathetic listening, and therapeutic listening. The active listening. It is a type of listening wherein the listener is attentive towards what the speaker is saying. It helps in understanding the emotions which the words are expressing. Appreciative listening. It is a type of listening where one accepts and appreciates the other person through what they say. Casual listening. The term says it all. Listening without showing person through what they say. The term says all. Listening without showing much attention. However, actual attention may vary a lot from person to person. Comprehension listening. In this type of listening, to the listener's primary concern is to understand the message, which is being conveyed by the speaker. Critical listening is listening performed to evaluate, judge, form opinion about what is being said. The judgment includes assessing strengths and weakness, agreement and approval. Dialogue listening is a type of listening wherein a listener's ears a conversation and engage in an interchange of ideas and information in order to learn more about the person and how they think. Dialogue listening is sometimes known as relational listening. It can be a shared activity where people regard each other's point of view without interrupting or engaging in an argument. Discriminative listening. It is a type of listening where the listener discriminates between different sound and sights. Empathic listening. It is a type of listening where the listener understands the speaker's concern or loss with a rational approach. This rational approach is about being empathic towards the listener without being carried away with his concern or loss. It is about paying close attention to the nuance of emotional signals and be rational. Relationship listening. When listening is performed to develop, support, or sustain a relationship, it is called relationship listening. Sympathetic listening. Sympathetic listening is listening used to show care for the speaker and acknowledging his sorrows in a sympathetic way. And therapeutic listening. In this type of listening to the listener has a purpose of not only empathizing with the speaker, but also to use this deep connection in order to help the speaker understand, change, or develop in some way. Is there any question up to here?
Mister,
Okay.
what is the example of relationship listening?
Okay. The example of relationship listening is a glaring that allows to talk for hours and attend closely to what each other has to say. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any question?
Can you tell me more about empathetic listening? I'm not really get it.
Okay, I get it answer. Okay, so empathic listening is about being empathic towards the listener without being carried away with their concern or loss. Is about paying close attention to the nuance of emotional signal and be rational. Are you understand, Bintang?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay,
Excuse me. I want to go to toilet. Can I
okay,
go? Okay.
okay. Uh, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna explain what is the importance of listening. So basically, listening is one of the four skills which enable complete communication. In fact, it's the first essential language skill because learning a language usually begins when we learn to listen first, then to speak, then to read, and finally to write. Listening skills are of great importance in the workplace, the family, and in the society at large. Careers in communication, management, planning, sales, and fundraising, etc. Really on good listening skills. Listening shows one's level of manners or etiquette. When one is listening to someone, he is being responsive and if required advising as per the conversation requirement. Good listeners show respect to the speaker by not interrupting them while they are talking. Okay, the last part is after that I can explain about the key principles of listening. Okay, key principles. First, teach student to use both bottom-up and top-down processing. We have seen that successful listeners use both bottom-up and top-down processing. Top-down processing involves drawing on background knowledge to help make sense of what we are listening to. How do we do this? Psychologists say that we do it by drawing on schemata. Schemata are like mental movie scripts we build from early childhood. For example, we have sets of schemata or schemas for going to a restaurant. In a Western context, think how different your schema is for fine dining, a French restaurant, and grabbing a burger from McDonald's. Those of you who are familiar with Japanese culture and cuisine will have very different expectation when eating in a kaiseki restaurant as opposed to eating at a tempura bar. When we learn, we constantly adjust our pre-existing schemata or add new ones. In doing so, we are leaving out the answer that celebrated educational psychologist David Person gave when he was asked to define learning. He said that learning is a process of building bridge between the known and the new, between what we already know and what we have to learn. For me, bridge metaphor captures the very essence of learning. Crafting new knowledge to pre-existing knowledge is also a fundamental principle in the model of learning proposed by the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. 2. incorporate a range of text type into your listening lesson. Learners need to be exposed to a wide range of text types from monologue to dialogue, from casual conversation in which people are socializing to interaction in which the speaker is trying to obtain goods and services. They should have the opportunity to watch all types of television shows from sitcoms to the news. Public announcements, recorded telephone messages, advertisement, and so on should also be incorporated into the listening lesson out of class. Learners can work on their listening through the enormous range of text available through the internet, YouTube clips, TED talks, and also the specially modified news broadcasts from services such as the BBC and Voice of America. These have been especially recorded to be more comprehensible to second language speakers. A much discussed concept in communicative language teaching is that of authenticity. There are two types of authenticity: text authenticity and test authenticity. Authentic listening texts are those that originally emerged in the course of some type of communication outside of the classroom, a casual conversation in a coffee shop, a news broadcast, train announcement, and so on, and are subsequently imported into the classroom for teaching purpose. I believe there is a place in the classroom for both authentic and non-authentic texts, but have different purpose. I have used authentic listening text with absolute beginners. It often scares them to start with, but they become more comfortable when they realize that they don't have to understand every word. I get them to do things such as identify how many speakers there are in the conversation or listen to several short conversation and identify which are English and which other language. From this experience, my learners realize that they can benefit and learn something from authentic listening text from the very beginning of the learning process. The trick is to adjust text, what learners have to do in response to listening rather than the listening text itself. 3. Incorporate a range of pedagogical and real-world text into your lesson. In addition to text authenticity, there is test authenticity. Again, in deciding whether or not a text is authentic, we need to take our bearings from the world outside the classroom and ask ourselves, is this something that people do outside the classroom? Generally, in the real world, people don't listen to an answering machine message and complete a set of true or false questions. They listen and take a message for a third party or make note to themselves about where and when to meet the person leaving the message. I have already made the point that I see place for non-authentic listening tests in language classroom, and the same point applies to tests. There may well be a place for true or false questions in the classroom, but there should also be texts that enable learners to rehearse in the class the sorts of things that they need to do outside the classroom. Listening will involve production, speaking and writing text, the focus of a listening lesson or a listening segment within a lesson that includes other skills should be mainly on listening, not on speaking or writing. However, we can only evaluate whether a learner has understood the listening text by getting them to do something. That is, through production of one kind or another. The might involve answering questions, either orally in writing, taking a telephone message, and so on. Or the response might be nonverbal, listening to a set of instruction and assembling to toy or a game, listening and drawing a picture, etc. The richer the variety of text, the more interesting the listening lesson will be for the students and for you, the teacher. 4. Incorporate strategy training into your teaching. Earlier in the chapter 1, stressed the importance of matching up our purpose for listening with the type of oral text we're listening to, and then selecting the appropriate strategy. Listening listening for key information, and so on. Purpose in paramount, as one of my favorite listening teacher, Mark Helgen, says, it's not just what you're listening to, it's what you're listening for. I have already spoken about the centrality of learner strategy training to my own philosophy of language teaching. And I have lots more to say during the course of this book. Mike Rose, another guru in the language listening area, identified following strategies of successful listeners. 1. Predicting. Predicting means effective listeners think about what they will hear. 2. Inferring. Inferring means it is useful for learners to listen between the lines. 3. Monitoring. Good listener notice what they do and don't understand. 4. Clarifying. Efficient learner ask question, what does blah 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 mean? You mean what? And give feedback, I don't understand yet, to the speaker. 5. Responding. Learners react to what they hear. 6. Evaluating. They check on how well they have understood. Okay, that's all for today, class. Do you have any question?
Not yet, sir.
No.
Sir.
Okay, thank you for today. See you next week and stay safe and stay healthy. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.